How's everybody? Not watchable. Help has arrived. I appreciate it. If you can hear me, Jeremy, I definitely need your help. Not exactly sure what's going on, but I think we're back. So I'm seeing some messages. Are we good now? You tell me. So earlier, Jeremy, we were having some video lag issues. We were having some audio chop going on. I'm not exactly sure what was happening. Yeah, so the stats showing me at 9% CPU, 30 frames per second. Not exactly sure. If you can hear me just fine and you're responding, then I think we're good. Vince Scott, thanks for subscribing to the train wreck. Seems okay now. All right, so audio sounds good, video sounds good, I suppose. Yes, fine now. Okay, guys, I'm so sorry. Right now, I'm not seeing any missed frames. I was earlier, and I think that's probably because it was defaulting to 60 frames per second. Not exactly sure why, but I think I'm good now as well. I appreciate you guys. Sorry about that. One day we will figure out how to do this, and it's gonna be a lot better. So, like I was saying, to backtrack a little bit for those that joined us a little bit late. Again, Vince Scott, thanks for the sub. We were doing we were doing the respoolers, and I chose to go off stream and wire up a lot of the LEDs and the end stops and then do all the crimping and all those things. So we ended up with 4 spoolers that, all right, Jeremy, check your OBS stream setting and make sure it's not set to software encoding. I will try that really quick. Let's see. Software encoding, I'm not exactly sure. So I do Streamlabs, and I'm not, I don't know what portion that you mean I would check there. So looking under video, I'm not seeing anything set to what you are mentioning here. Okay, yeah, I'm not sure what you mean on that one. I can't find that setting in here. But what I changed, I went into the settings. I took down the frames per second from 60 to 30. It's an output, yeah. So I was in output just a minute ago. Let's see. And it says make sure it's not set to software encoding. I'm seeing enforce streaming service encoder settings. Is that what you're talking about? It's grayed out for me right now, so if I go back and change that, I'm going to have to end the stream a 4th time and then restart, which is painful for a lot of people to watch. It's painful for a lot of people to listen, but it would take pretty quick. So we're just going to do that a little bit later, and we'll just continue on like nothing ever happened. All right, so like I was saying, what we were doing here, we took some spoolers and we got through this portion of the manual. So all of that is set up and everything is clicking just fine. Thanks for helping out in the stream, Jeremy. I appreciate you. So it's got a satisfying click. We are still using the Booty wheels. I did not have the LDO rubber portions, and that's one of the limitations of printing your own parts is that you're going to do these out of TPU. I only have blue, and so that's what we got. We got blue TPU. Thanks, I appreciate it, man. We did all of the LEDs. I had to solder, no kidding. I think I did a dozen sets. My soldering skills are just not there, and this was an exercise against my limitations. So I finally got a good set of 4 after a bunch of practice, and what I found is that for me, instead of just cutting wires to length and trying to trying to solder on, I don't know, individual wires. I ended up just getting a pack of this. These BTF lighting, I got these from Amazon. I think it was like $10. And in here, there's male and female parts. They happen to be the length that you need for the box turtle anyway. These were supposed to be 130 millimeters long for each one. And in this kit, I want to say they're 140. So they're a touch longer than, yeah, so they're 140. They're a touch longer than what was recommended, but I think that's fine. That just means we'll have a little bit of extra wire management to do. And having it already crimped and cut and everything was a lot easier. So, and then not to mention, I didn't have any of these connections spare anyway. So if I wanted to crimp my own, I couldn't even do that. But these were $10 on Amazon, BTF lighting. You can find those. Yeah, so I appreciate it. We're looking good, and that's because of this new camera. This is a 4K Ozbot Tiny 2, and it's got some cool features on it where it can do some tracking and whatnot. So if I were to have it, I can link it now, man. If I could have it, if it was a face cam, it would follow me as I move around, and it'll follow my hand. It'll do all kind of stuff. Let me drop this in the chat. I'll drop you a link. I ended up getting mine from Amazon, but if you wanted to get it from somewhere else, you could totally do that. I believe you can buy it from the Ozbot website. This one came from Amazon, like I said, and Amazon can get pretty much anywhere. So if you're interested in one of these, you should be able to find it. I'm trying to get you a link here. Let's see. All right, I'm gonna drop this one in the chat for you. Oh, well, let's see. It's not going to allow me to do that from where I'm at, so we can try somewhere else. Wait, out of curiosity, you're streaming with that laptop tablet? I am, yeah. So this is a Surface Pro 9, and it is something I've had for a while. I travel a lot, and so when I do travel, this is a lot easier to carry around. I can do work from it. I can do almost everything. I'm not able to do like Fusion 360 or any CPU intensive things. You can link it, but I've just linked it there. Is it just for the manuals, etc.? I use it for manuals. I use it for, I don't know. I can slice on it. I think you are modded, Jeremy. But I can slice on it. I can do all kinds of things. And it works just fine for what I'm trying to do out here. So yeah, I use the Surface laptop, and it works great. So we'll just get that a little bit out of the way where it was, so you guys can see what's really going on. But the Ozbot is cool. Yeah, you are modded. The Ozbot is cool. I can, and this is a little bit off topic, I understand, so bear with me here. I want to show like why I like this Ozbot. And by no means am I a pro tech person at all. I do like tech. I like new tech. It's very interesting to me, and I think that's probably true of a lot of folks who are kind of in this hobby or whatever. Use Fusion on your Pro. So I can do that, but when I do, it is very laggy for me. Maybe your Surface Pro is a higher spec than mine. I don't know if they do multiple different specs or whatever, but the one that I have is not as powerful. But I can move this camera and pan and tilt kind of like this. I can have it track my left hand, so as I move my left hand through the stream, it'll follow my hand. So I can move it all around, which is pretty cool. I like that. So as I'm working on stuff and moving my hands, it'll do that. But I tend to talk with my hands, and so I don't need things panning around all over the place where I don't need it. So we'll just put this kind of back where it was supposed to be, right in here somewhere, something like that. And that's what I really liked, the fact that it could do that. So that is that. Very tricky cam. And then it could also do, you can just manually move. Like if I just grab it and move it around, it'll kind of stay where I put it too. So that's an option. Bloody liar. What's he lying about? I am not a ProTech guy. No, absolutely. If I was a ProTech guy, we wouldn't have all the issues on the last 2 streams that we've had. But anyway, let's get down to business and talk about why we are kind of here. I do want to move. So I showed off, and now I moved my camera all out of where I wanted it to be. So we'll get it back. We'll get it back here. Very nice. I do not have a bunch of filters. This is my natural state. You can ask Brittany. She knows. We were talking about the spooler. I've got all 4 done. That was an exercise in patience, for sure. That was not the easiest thing to do. But once I did, I think 2 of them, I ended up figuring it out. But I think I was just trying to go off script a little bit. So we've got 4 spoolers, 4 extruders, and I've got some extra in-stops that I did, I don't know, like an hour before the stream. So in-stops are going to be yellow for me, and that just makes sense to my brain. Cool. So I'm going to flip over to the manual here. How about now? Can you hear me now? Sorry about that. It seems that it dropped off the mic off of this scene, so when I flipped over to Chrome, it didn't say anything. I apologize, guys. But audio gone. I think I'm on now. I think the stream might be a little bit delayed in the chat. Audio's back. Yeah, sorry. Again, that's a me thing. I'll get this right one day. But like I was saying, we finished up the spoolers. I got the Boothie wheels on. His wheels use 60mm cross bolts to go through all the way through. They use cross bolts to go all the way through. So you'll see they kind of oppose each other. You got a nut on one side and howdy pop away, and then a screw on this side here. And that goes all the way through a custom shaft. There is no rod through here. And then it does the same on the other side. So you have the screw and the lock nut there. Hashtag not pro streamer. And then we use the Boothie levers. I'm not sure. The triggers. That's what it's called. And those are pretty clicky, which I enjoy. We made 4 of those yesterday, and that's where we are. going back over to this, we have basically finished part 4. I did a lot of that off stream. You haven't seen these? They are on the Discord. They're not. I wish there was like a mod channel or something on the Box Turtle GitHub, excuse me, but there's not. And so you have to go to the Discord for a lot of these mods. And if you go in the user section, you should see Boothy's build in there. He's doing a very, very, very sweet box turtle right now. He's been sharing photos with me behind the scenes, and it's pretty dope. I don't want to give away too much because I want to reserve that for him, but he's building a really sweet looking box turtle. Cool. So we have this, what is this? The turtleneck next. I printed these already, and starting back over from where I should have been. Have been acting. There's so many channels and so many servers that it's difficult to keep up on Discord whatsoever. So I get it. I'm not as active as I would like to be either. It kind of goes in fits and starts based on the project that I'm working on. I think I'm a little more active in your server and the Boothy Builds server. All right, but over here, this is what we've been able to do. I do have all the inserts in there. Again, that's the boring part, so I didn't want to have you guys deal with that on stream. I've also put in the ECAS fittings, so we're good on that step as well. And next thing I need to do is put these in stops in here. Hey, Shrimp Father, what's up, buddy? Good morning. So we'll do that, and then we'll assemble this thing with the four screws. So we'll get cracking on that today. All right, we have our parts, and I think that's pretty good. We'll see if we can zoom in at all. Get you guys a little bit closer on what we're doing on the desk over here. I'll tell you, I do like this new camera. It's pretty dope. All right, so there's that. We have the heat sets in there, and we're just going to add some in stops on this guy. So now that we're streaming and we got folks on, what are we doing today? It's Sunday. It's after Valentine's Day. What did you guys do with your significant others? What did you guys do on, was it Friday? For us, we just went to, and had lunch. We went and saw Captain America. Captain America is fine. Just don't buy a webcam. Yeah, so this technically is a webcam. It does come with a mount to mount it as a webcam. And from what I remember, these are opposing. So one kind of goes this way, the other goes that way, and we leave the levers on. So the lever, the open end of the lever should go to the outside of the part. So like so. That's based on what I'm seeing on the manual. All the things, flowers, candy, dinner, and damn me. What? Was going to go see that movie. How did you like it? I'll tell you, Jeremy, I'm not the best Marvel fan. Each one of those movies is independent for me. They are interesting on their own, and my wife is the backstory person, so she knows what happened with this person, 4 movies ago that did this thing. I'm not that same way. Each one has to be good on its own, or I'm not really into it. For this particular one, it's okay. It's a Captain America movie without who you would think Captain America is. But it's fine. It's more her thing than it is mine. But I do like action movies, and there was a lot of action in that. Oh, actual webcams? Yeah, so that's what I was streaming with last week, was actual webcams. I have a C920 and a, I'm sorry for not having that on stream there for a second. I had a C920 and a C922 that I used to monitor my printers back in the day before we had those very tiny USB webcams. And those things work fine, but it looks like you're watching TV from the 90s. It's not very clear. This 4K is so much better. So there is that. Don't roll away. There's that. We have the openings on the end stops going to the outside of the part. That's how it should be in the manual. Really big deal to watch the Captain America Winter Soldier TV series before the movie. I guess for me, I didn't. Again, I'm not the super Marvel fan on all this stuff, and it's fine. I just okay. So this only goes one way. That's good, because I would have totally put that in backwards, like so. Introduce some characters in the show. I mean, that's cool, man. I just, again, I don't watch a lot of TV. If you know anything about me, I'm not the person that spends all day Saturday watching TV. I'm usually out here building stuff or cleaning things up, trying to get settled in our new place. Thought the 25-ish servers I was on is a lot. Shrimp Father, I'm probably there with you. So yeah, yesterday I was out here. I built all 4 of these respoolers, and I did some camera setup. Obviously not a lot of stream testing, but I thought I did. So we did some test streaming behind the scenes, and it worked out fine. But then, of course, day of the event, things go off the rails, and we end up with audio problems, stream problems, etc., etc. But we're here now. Or watching Element 3. Yeah, so while I'm watching you guys, I'm out here doing this stuff. And I don't know that I posted it on the Discord at all, but my FL Sun S1 nuked itself again, probably 3-4 weeks ago at this point. But I just got to taking it apart yesterday and got the hot end out of there. But I had to use a heat gun to heat up the blob of death that was on there. And let me see if I got that thing laying around at all. Here we go. It had this huge blob of death. And before I show this, it had this huge blob of death. There are no additional hot ends that you can purchase. Everything is out of stock. There's no aftermarket support for this machine as far as hot ends and things like that. And so basically, every time this has happened, I've had to contact FL Sun and they have to send me a new hot end. And this is what I was left with. So you can see that this leaks from up here in the heat break area. So at the top, it comes out of there, kind of flows down, and then it seems like it leaks out around the base, and then all the way down and just encompasses everything on the hot end. This exact monstrosity is what has happened to me 3 times. So this is actually the 3rd hot end that I've destroyed. And each time they've had to send me another one. It takes around 30 days for this thing to arrive. And it's ridiculous. I'm surprised it didn't ruin the fan. The fan bolts on right here, and you can see that plastic came all the way through and was stopping that fan from spinning. So the hot end got even more hot. It wasn't cooling appropriately, and I'm surprised it didn't burn the fan out. But yeah, this is what you get when you get an FL Sun S1. This is the non-pro version. I'll be clear on that. It's a non-pro version. I don't know that they have fixed this, though. I think it's the same hot end and everything. Really, all that's changed is maybe the motherboard and some of the stepper driver firmware. But I also put on there an open source version of Clipper finally, after having this thing since, I think I got it in June or July is when it arrived. Star farts. I love that all of the same people are here. So it makes the inside joke stuff even more funny. You had a facepalm moment last week. Spent 2 days trying to dial in bad level on 2 printers, only to have them already dialed in finer than needed to be. Think of it as this way: skills practice. Who is who? I think everybody has the same name. But yeah, that finishes out the turtleneck. So we're going to move on to the next section, and I'll bring you guys along here. The next section is going to be, oh man, so I kind of went through when I was playing around, and so it starts me at a different position in the manual. Before we continue, you'll end up with a box turtle that is ready for initial validation and setup. I have an issue with that. Did I catch it on? Yeah. I was out with the wife all day on Valentine's Day, but I did catch the stream yesterday. Are you talking about the Lee Marie stream, JPP? But each lane will be assembled one at a time, starting from lane 4 on the far right and working back to lane 1 on the far left. Intent is to demonstrate intended wire routing. If I'm confident in my abilities, I can do all 4 at the same time. Otherwise, it'll be a little bit awkward. We'll do the recommended way. Obviously, I'm not confident in my abilities because I've been messing things up left and right. So this is the part that I did off stream already. And this is lead. Marie 3D is the boss. Yeah, Jeremy wears the pants. She controls the zipper. But we're going to mount these to all 4 of the little feed trigger retainer ×4. I've got some of those. There's a 1. And looks like, okay. I've got 4 of these parts somewhere. There's 2. 3, 4. All right. All 4 parts. And the way that these go is from the manual, the open end of that end stop goes like this. So that's what we're going to do. Just confused both answers on the question. Yeah, hey Jerry. Thanks for stopping in when we had trouble and then returning after we solved it. This streaming thing is hard. For those that do this all the time, I hope that you really have it dialed in. I got to learn some of that stuff. Because it seems like no matter what I do, when I get all set up and then I come back in here not having changed anything, all of the settings are different and I basically have to reset up everything every single time. I don't know why that is, and it's annoying. We'll figure that out one day. So Jerry, I know that you stream on Saturdays. I didn't catch you yesterday. I was moving around outside doing a lot of work to clean up the yard. We had a bunch of high wind and rain for the last couple of days. And Friday was the first clear day. But again, I spent that out with the wife doing Valentine's Day stuff. And in the meantime, because we live out in the middle of the desert pretty much, there are tumbleweeds that piled up in front of the door. So probably the size of a small car sitting out in front of the house. And I had to move all that, which led into other things because I have squirrel brain. And we started to clean up other things in the yard, do stuff in the garage. I got some more filament mounted to the wall. I moved some machines around, got rid of some stuff. Really trying to make room in here to do larger projects than a box turtle because I know that I have some on the docket. I want to do a Rat Rig V-Core 4 build. I've been wanting to build that one since Remurf last year. That's when I talked to Sanat and got was able to secure a kit. And it showed up, I don't know, 3 months later or something like that. So it showed up in about July, but I knew that I was moving, so I didn't want to crack open this build and not be able to finish it because I would just have to pack it right back into a box and try to move it. So it was easier to leave it packed away. And then since I've been here, it's been on my brain to build that thing, and I just I just haven't prioritized it because of the space issue that I'm having in here. So before I can really get into it and stream for you all, I needed to make some space. So we're getting there. There's still more to do. So after we finish Box Turtle, I think next up will be probably a printer I'm not ready to reveal yet, but definitely I want to do a rat rig as well. I'm just not exactly sure which one I want to do first. Why you rarely stream? I get it. Yeah, it's challenging to keep on top of all the things. And thanks for coming in, Lego Therapy. Make sure you like and subscribe. He loves it when I say that. Where do I live? I live outside of Palmdale, California. And probably, I don't know, 45 minutes from there. So we're out there. Was I still at Canada? Yeah, I was still at Canada for the tumbleweed apocalypse. It's very much that same thing here, except there's more infrastructure to trap those tumbleweeds. And typically what happens is we'll get a bunch of tumbleweeds up against the house, and then because it seems to always happen on a Friday, which is trash pickup day, you end up with all of your neighbors' trash in your yard as well. And that's nobody's fault. The wind is so strong here that no trash can survive. Okay, so we have all 4 end stops good to go there. Going back to our manual. Vico 4, sensitive topic. You want one so bad. I'm going to stay strong and give you company on your build. You should get one, man. I'm not the gatekeeper for rat rig builds. There's already a few out there. And I'm hearing mixed stuff about it. Some people are very upset about how it's difficult to tune in IDEX. And they're getting terrible input shaper. But my question is, what did you do before input shaper was a thing? We just kind of dealt with it, right? And I think that's the same thing here. Like every printer is going to have some limitations, and with an IDEX, when you shake one tool head, it's going to influence the other, and so it's going to throw your graphs off a little bit, and that's something to be mindful of when you're considering an IDEX build. I would say that some input shaper is better than no input shaper. So if that is something you are concerned about, then I don't know, maybe not build one. I'm not really worried about it. I have everything in-house already. I have everything in-house already. Here, let me move this camera out a little bit. So we're just going to do that next step where we're going to remove this extrusion. All right, JPP, appreciate you, buddy. Thanks for stopping by. Enjoy your day at work on a Sunday. That sucks. I'm sorry. So what we're doing right now is taking off this lower extrusion for the manual. I'm not sure why I need to take it off. Had I known how to put the, what are those things called, the T-nut inserts in there earlier, I probably could have done that. And I think I would rather do that than to continue to take off the extrusions and put them back on. Maybe it's an access thing, not really sure. Turn the heat down. Yeah, the wife was really cool. She got me a heater to put out here in the garage so I don't die. So I appreciate that. That was her Valentine's Day loving thing for me. All right, so we have the extrusion out, and then it has us put in 2 T-nuts from what I remember. So in the box of parts, we got some T-nuts. Makes it easier to work on the AFC light plugs. That's what I was thinking. Like maybe it's an access thing. But I know for sure that I could have put these T-nuts in during the build. This is the new camera. Lego Therapy. This is the 4K Tiny Ozbot, or Ozbot Tiny 2 is the official name. If you scroll up in the chat, and we could try to post it again, there's a link for the camera. But if you just search Ozbot Tiny 2, you'll get it. This is not the light. This is the full up Tiny 2, which can be preventative for some folks. On Amazon right now, it's $2.99. When I got it, they had a coupon for I think $40 off or something, so it ended up being $2.50. Old frames don't take the roll-ins. That could be true. Yeah, again, Thunder Key's not super worried about it. But even if I couldn't roll them in during the build process, I could just like slide these in. You know what I'm saying? But I understand that it's to mount this AFC light next, and we do have a mount for that somewhere. Not in the box of parts, but I know that I made it because I was playing with it yesterday and I thought about going ahead and mounting it. No love there. What did I do with that guy? That's the problem with having so many things. Oh yeah, we put it in the same bag. That's right. You mean like you're sliding them in now? Yeah, I'm sliding them in now. And that's what I'm saying. We can just slide them in, and that one is loose. I think the ball is messed up. Let's try a different one. But we could have slid these in earlier in the build, had I known. Yeah, and for whatever reason, those just don't want to stay, but that other one does, and they stay on the extrusion. And then you could assemble that into the frame. But I think you would still have to take it off to be able to do this portion. So again, what I did was prep the 2209s yesterday, put the heat sinks on there, and installed those in the board, making sure that the pins were actually going into the slots. So we did that, and then I made sure that this was the whole pattern lined up with what we're trying to do. Budget has to agree. Yeah, so it's not a cheap camera by any means. Okay, so I'm seeing in the manual this long portion here goes to where those steppers would be, so this goes like that. Okay, reading through the manual, it says ensure that the stepper drivers are properly installed, and they are. I did that yesterday. Depending on the version you have, the input power selection leads may be long enough to interfere with the printed mount. You may want to snip those short with a pair of flush cutters. Mine seem to be fine. Again, I looked at that yesterday and I didn't see anything on there, and I can't see anything now that matters. So I did not have to snip anything. Well, actually, I lie. These are what you're talking about. I see it. Hey, Kegel. Yeah, so it's saying you may want to snip these short, and that's on the power selection switch leads. So what we're talking about is this one here. So this is the power selection switch, and if you look, those pins are pretty long. That's what we're talking about there. So I'm going to snip those off really quick. I guess I didn't have it exactly in the right place. I didn't think they interfered, but they do. So we're just going to snip those off. All right, close the eyes, turn the face. 1, 2, 3. And those went all over the garage. We'll get those later. But now, they don't stick out. So they should not interfere with the board. It's maybe, I don't know, a millimeter, maybe 2 that are remaining. And again, should mount that way, like so. I just want to make sure that we're good. And I think these are M3x8s. It says mount the printed board, or sorry, mount the AFC board to the printed mount as shown using 2 M3x8s. We got a bunch of those hanging out over here. Engage safety squints, yeah. Close the eyes and turn the head. That's exactly what we did. And then I felt them go, or I heard them go all over the garage. I'll never find them, but it doesn't matter. All right, that's going to be a little fiddly, so we'll use the tool. Go through the hole and then into the part. So these do go into plastic, and I lost that all over the place. These do go into plastic, so I'm going to be careful to not over tighten. I go until it's snug, and then once it's snug, we're good to go. Probably should have, it would be great if these had heat sets in it. Maybe there's some limitation with the part touching other parts, so if we made it bigger, it would be not so great, but I think we could have put some heat sets in here. Unnecessary, completely agree, but it does make it nice. I like heat sets wherever I can. Maybe somebody will make a remix and on Box Turtle number 2. When I build that one, I can use that part, or maybe I'll just remix it myself and drop it somewhere. Put it on printables or something. No worse than Lego on the floor. I agree. Those are painful. Never come out here without shoes, though. It's always Crocs in the garage. Crocs and socks. Thanks, Will De Silva, for the sub. I appreciate you. Okay, JPP, welcome back. I guess there is no work today, yeah? Or are you just streaming from work? Engage safety squints, yeah. I think that's how Steve says it too. That's fun. All right, we have that mounted. Let's see, and then we're going to stop. It says make sure it's paired, and pair it with your printer. Now is the time to do so. Now is also the time to make sure you have your CAN bus and or USB power cables made to connect your Box Turtle to your printer. I didn't do any of that. I didn't make it this far in the manual yesterday before things got crazy, and I started working on other stuff. So I'm going to open all of these tabs in the manual here. Sorry, let's make you guys look at what I'm looking at here. Not forget, Kegel also just subbed. Nice, man. Appreciate it. Yep, I see it now. I missed you. Sorry about that. But this is what the manual is telling me. And it's, let's make that big. And the manual is fine, but I didn't do any of that stuff. I didn't do the CAN bus power cables made, so maybe we'll get to do a little bit of soldering, which is not the most entertaining. So I'm going to skip forward a little bit and then see what else we have to do. All right, so let's have us mounting that onto the extrusion we took off. So I could do that. And then we start putting in the spoolers. So number 5, and then it tells us how to put them in there. That's great. And we'll put this guy on. Secure the extruder, and then probably do that 4 times. All right. I can definitely do all of that. I did not flash the board, and I know that's going to be painful to undo this stuff and flash it later and make the cable later and all that. But I think in the interest of time and actual good streaming, we're going to do that off stream, making cables and whatnot. But we can go through plugging in some of this stuff. I do have all of that prepped. So back this up to where I should be. So we are basically here. Metal Legos? Yeah, this is metal Legos. I used to be a Lego kid. Not so much anymore. Not because I don't like it, but because, I don't know, I just kind of got out of it. This is just Legos for broke people. And by broke people, I mean because we spend a lot to make this real. So what's a box turtle now? $300. I think Lego can roughly be in that same area as far as cost. But when you talk about a whole printer, start to finish, not just a box turtle, you're looking at, you know, $1,300 for a kit-ish. Some kits more than that. And we need in 10s, not 8s. Yeah, I was looking at another Trident kit yesterday. I already have two V2s. One is a 3030 framed V2 that Boothie calls Vivo. It's basically taking your old hypercube that you're probably not using anymore, and I think that's where a lot of us started this project, was trying to build a hypercube. It was probably the most famous self-build, self-source printer, 8 years ago, something like that, 8-9 years ago. And so if you were into building printers back then, you probably have a hypercube laying around, or maybe most of the parts for a hypercube. And so what Boothie did was take that, reuse the parts, add on a V2 gantry, and then put it all together into one. So there are new skirts. You're going to need different Z rails because 3030 extrusion is wider. And I'm looking over at the printer now, and they need most of the other things that you would need for a V2. Everything on the gantry is the same except for the mounts that mount the Z idlers to the linear rails. So if you haven't seen that project and you have a hypercube laying around, I recommend going and taking a peek. So I got one of those, and then I have a green LDO kit. They don't make those anymore, and so I'm very fortunate to have bought a green one back when they were available. I should have got an orange one when those were available too. But you live and you learn. But like I was saying, I was interested in maybe doing another one, but I feel like I can get so far into the projects that I currently have that it doesn't make sense to get another project and have 5 in the wings instead of just 4. But it's really cool. The wife told me to get a printer for my birthday. So my birthday is tomorrow, and Valentine's Day was Friday, and so I end up in this weird space where it's like 2 holidays rolled into one. And she was nice enough to say, "Hey, why don't you just get a printer for your birthday? I'm cool with that." And I thought about it, and I was like, "Well, what would I get?" So I'll throw it out to the chat. What should I get? If you were going to buy a printer today, and your wife told you could get whatever it is that you think you want, what would you get? 500 hypercube from Zyltech 3030, built in 5 years ago, selling $350 in Vegas. Jerry, we should talk. Do me a favor, hit me on Discord, or you can hit me on Twitter or Instagram or any of those things. I'm the same handle on every social media platform. I want to talk to you about that. A K2 would be cool. I have a VCore 4 3D Wolf. I just need to build that. Chidi Plus 4. So that's one I was looking at. And then you took the message away. Oh, there it is. Okay. Chidi Plus 4. That sounds good to me. I was considering one of those. It is a little bigger than the Bamboo. And that's kind of what I was looking at, was a Bamboo. So to get a, what's it called, a P1S, I think it was. Yeah, I was trying to get a P1S. I have an X1 Carbon already, and I really like that machine. Yeah, I know. I'm teasing you, man. K2 Plus. So I have a thing about Creality, Kegel. I was an early adopter of Creality stuff back when they were doing like the Ender 3 V2, and they were doing a CR6. I got one of those. I had 2 Ender 5s. I still have my original Ender 3. And then I bought an Ender 6. And the Ender 6 was so disappointing to me that it turned me off from Creality forever. It really did. They could have done a lot with that machine, at least released a V2 like they did with the K1. They ended up doing 3 versions of the K1, and now they have this K2 Plus. And it took them 4 iterations to get it right. My fear is that anything I get from Creality will take 4 iterations to get it right. And I'll tell you, even with the K2 Plus, my buddy has one here in the same neighborhood, and he and I were talking about it a couple of weeks ago. I got to see it in action, and it is nice. It's a really nicely built machine. But he basically had to root the machine to be able to even use it. He had to root the machine, put kind of like an open source clipper on it or a fork of clipper on there. And then he also had to, I think I'm starting here. And then he also had to, like some kind of aluminum tape or whatever underneath the bed to be able to get the bed leveling to work appropriately. That's not something I'm interested in doing. This should be the long spooler from what I remember. And that looks like the one with the long cable. Let's put these other ones out of the way. This is the one with the long cable. So it says, identify the spooler with the lane 4 N20 lead, the 515 version. This is the longest one I have, so that's got to be the 515. And then feed all the wires down through the top and into the bottom of this box turtle. Like so. And then things should line up. There we go. Already have your next printer, but maybe another V0. Rob, what's your fascination with the V0? I have a Rev A LDO V0 kit that is still a 0.1, not upgraded to the 0.2. I basically built it, the Rev A version, and then never updated it to the V2. And we're putting M3x8s in here to hold this together. Do you just like small printers, Rob? JPP, you have an Ender 6, and it has a lot of potential to be good, but they just abandoned it. Yeah, exactly my point. I don't want to buy something that I have to put $200-300 in to make it just okay, and then hang out for Creality just to leave it alone and ignore it and never update it. On my Ender 6, I got the Bondtech hot end system. There's a let's see, there's a, I want to say it's a Micro Swiss. I'm trying to remember what I put in there for a hot end because it came with this stupid, really shitty Ender 3 hot end that comes on all of their printers back in that era. It came with that, and it's supposed to be a 9mm belt high-speed Core XY, but it had V wheels on the Y-axis. It just didn't, and it also had V wheels on the X if I remember right, and that doesn't make sense to me. I'm sure it would work, but it was using normal speeds for the time, which is like 65 millimeters per second, when you're doing Core XY and there's so much more potential for something better. And so I converted it to all linear rail. I put the Bondtech BMG on it, and then I updated it with the NAC 3D motors that are constrained at the motor shaft so you can run a higher belt tension. And I did that, and then it still just is kind of okay. I even put clipper on it, so I put an Ender 3 turbo board on there. I think that's the name of it, something like that. Ender 3, and then there's turbo in the name. So I put that on there, hoping to be able to run it faster. It really never did. So my question to you then is, what are you doing right now with your Ender 6? Is it just hanging out? Bad thing though, being factory Core XY before that was the norm. I thought about converting it to a Trident, but that's some CAD work that I'm just not interested in doing. If I had a CAD provided to me, I would probably just do it. But doing it myself and trying to think through all that, I don't have enough bandwidth to be able to do that. It was a Bowden. I removed that, made it a direct drive, and it worked better, but it still wasn't great. Built a switch wire out of parts. That's cool. I have a switch wire over there that I got at Reno Vice last year. I was lucky enough to win it. So Jason was giving away, I think he had a Trident, a V2, I want to say, and then a switch wire. And when you sign in, they gave everybody tickets. I put all of my tickets in for the switch wire, and I took home the switch wire. It's built. It's over there. It works. The bed on a switch wire, if you're not familiar, is not the best. It's often a little bit floppy because it's a PCB. It's not really a rigid mount. So I thought I would get around it by rigid mounting it and doing the silicone bed mod that you would do on a Prusa. It seemed to help. It probably doesn't help that I put a E3D PZ probe on there, and so now you have to press on the bed to be able to level. And when I say press, I don't mean hard. Like, I don't think that it flexes the bed or anything like that, but it definitely has to touch the bed to be functional. And I'm thinking that maybe that has something to do with it. So my plan is to put a beacon on there. I have the beacon. I just need to do the work to make the beacon a reality. And I just haven't. I don't use the switch wire all that often. I don't print very often where I need multiple printers that are open. So things like PLA and PETG would be great for a switch wire. I honestly don't print a lot of either of those. So if I get into doing the Toys for Tots thing again this year, I'm definitely going to use that. I used it last year. Might have to take me up on that if I ever go buy another printer. Right now, trying to pay off all debt. Sure. I'm hoping Jerry hits me up about his giant Hevo that he doesn't want. What's I say? Workhorse, quick to heat up, and it works very nice. Most of my prints are small. I already have a 300 Trident QND, and we'll be building the 350 2.4. I would love a 250 2.4, but I cannot find them. I don't know that LDO sells a kit in a 250 anymore. And because they don't, all of the other smaller kit assemblers don't have a 250 either. If somebody has a source for a 250 V2.4, let me know. I think that's what I want. And sorry, I'm missing some of the chat here. So if you were talking about the Ender 6 or something like that and I got distracted, I apologize. Swap the bed setup from the Stinger to a switch wire. I have not, but I want to, JPP. I have the Stinger here. I need to show it some love. Some parts got broken when we moved. So maybe I'll do a stream updating that. What's my Discord to share? Jerry, I'm Kiloprints on Discord at basically all of the common servers that you would find. RatRig and the Lemery server, the Voron servers, Doomcube, all of the things that are normal on Discord, that's where you can find me. All right, so we got the first one installed. We got the in-stop installed. Next is the extruder with 2 M3x8s. So we'll add that. And I want to say this is also the longest one because that makes most sense. Why would I put a shorter? So we got the long wire extruder here. Just making sure that is the correct long one. Yeah, that looks longer. All right. And the way this goes is like So buy a 300 and replace the frame. I could do that. My 300 would cost more, and then I have this 300 frame that I can't really use. Suppose I could resell it. I'm not against that idea. Where would I get a 250 frame though, Rob? If someone's selling a 250 frame, would they not also be selling a kit? And I'm not talking about used. I'm not against used. I would do that. I'm just asking, like, if I were to get it new, where would I find that? Just trying to do your part. Yep. So I got to lay this down so I can actually see what's happening here. See if I can get you guys a good shot. Because I have these desiccant boxes in here, it's a little bit fiddly to get back and put this screw in. I can see it just fine, but it's hard to show you all without moving the whole camera arm. So we're just going to go with it. Amazon, you would need a bed too. Amazon sells a 250 frame? I didn't know that. I know that they sell Voron parts. I saw a wiring kit. I saw like a motion kit. I didn't know that they sold a frame though. I'll check it out. I mean, this is a me thing. It's not really a you thing, but I appreciate the insight on suggestions. My hands are too big to get down in there. What did I do with these? These are great. Non-conductive ceramic tip, so I don't short anything, but I use these all the time to just like put screws into tight places that I can't reach, like right now. And they come in different pairs. There's like an angled tip version and all that stuff. So like I said, these are the new trays. I think we talked about this on the last one. That's right. You need them 100 subs. I would love to have 100 subs. Yeah, Boothie, I could push the boxes out and take them out and make that a little bit easier, but I can't get down in there. It takes some dexterity. I'm not sure if it's any good, but 3D Printers Bay is offering a 250 for $779. Thanks, Kago. I appreciate that. I don't know if they ship here. I've heard of 3D Printers Bay. I don't have any experience with them. And then I think we put the extrusion on next to put the board back in place on this side. And that seems to be correct. So I'm looking at the manual here, and I'll show you guys as well. It says that there are many zip tie points on the underside of the trays. However, now is not the time to tightly secure them in place. You may loosely secure the wires for lane 4 in place at this time. The next page will show exactly where to plug all of lane 4 into the AFC light to match the default AFC clipper add-on config for quick setup. Man, I wish I could read better. Cool. Key is prep load N20 stepper. Got it. So everything is going to run across. I'm going to flip this around so that it matches the manual that I'm seeing. It's going to run across, and we're going to put it's only showing the board, not installing it. Yeah, tracking. It's so that's it there. And then it wants me to just plug things in and just kind of have it sitting in place from what I understand. So I'm going to plug in all the things, and then I'm going to do part 2 and plug in all the things. Yeah, so it's going to be a repeat 4 times, and then at the very end is when I'm going to resecure that extrusion back on there. I'm tracking, but I do kind of want to have it sort of in place because I think I'm going to have to move. I think I'm going to have to move this board this way because it hits that desiccant box. So just making sure I have it in the right sort of area is going to be helpful. And I hope that doesn't touch my extruder when I put that in there. I think it'll be close, but I don't know that it's going to interfere. So we'll just readjust that. Send me your friend request. All right, Jerry, I'll get to it. Thanks, sir. I know you're in Vegas. That's about 3.5 hours from me, so not too far. Maybe we can work something out for a Hevo, and then we'll build another 3030 framed V2. That'd be really cool. Gotcha. And then I'm seeing all kind of other messages in here as well, but we'll ignore that for now. All right. So plugging in this guy, and based on the board, you hit 111. Nice, man. Congratulations. I found it needed moved to the ingot. I'm not sure what that word is, but yeah, so what I did is I just moved it this way to in front of where this desiccant box was, and it seems to clear now. So that is good. I'm just going to lay this in place, and then we'll plug all the things in based on what I'm seeing. So this one is, I think we need to go back a couple pages, just looking at the manual. The base version includes the, it doesn't. This is one of the mods from the mod folder on the GitHub. One of the option, I don't normally use desiccant in my AMS or any of my dry boxes. I have filament dryers, and I'll throw the desiccant packs in there. For me, I don't see a huge need in having things with desiccant all the time, especially, think about this, right? The entire top of the box turtle is open. I know that they're working on an enclosure, but it's not here yet, and this is not an enclosure build. If I put desiccant in here to keep my filament dry, it's not going to stay dry because the filament is open to the atmosphere anyway. So probably a little dumb for me to even print these, but if I choose to enclose this later, at least that's one less thing I have to print. So I'm not going to use any desiccant in here right away, but I do have that option. Okay, so looking at this, this is my N20 motor, and this goes here. And just making sure that my wiring is correct. Red to the left, and that looks right. Send marketplace post for Hypercube. Might really like it. It's huge. That's what I need. More gigantic printers in my life. More gigantic printers. Jerry, it's a maybe. We'll see. We'll see. I have to find some space. I've got a VCore 3 in the 400 flavor that I still have not built. It's also still sitting in a box. And then the load, it's also still sitting in the box. I have not built that yet either. So that's the load, and then you have a prep. And I think the prep is, I already lost what I was doing with the key. We're gonna have to go back on the manual. Let's see. Enclosed will be out of beta soon. Yeah, tracking. It's not out of beta today is my point. And we didn't build it that way from the start. So if we get there later, cool. I would love to do that. All right, so we got this. I don't have a stepper motor wire. We'll add that on here in a second. And then I want to say my prep is from the respooler. Just going to go back in the manual here. Let's show you guys what I'm looking at. So I'm looking at this one, and I already forgot the key. So prep, why would I call it prep? I don't understand that term. And then load, stepper I understand. That tells me it's the extruder stepper. I want to say prep is the end stop here, and then your load is your N20 motor. So that would be this one here. All right, so I'm just going to go with that. I think load means my extruder, which I have. I think prep is my yellow, which goes to my end stop on my spooler. And that goes in the second from the bottom slot here. Can't say you're coming after me though. Rate won't exceed. That's okay, man. There's space for everybody. If you want to come after me, that's fine. Prep is where I feed the filament. Got it. Load is the extruder is loaded. Right, but I guess where I want to make sure is that when I say load, I'm talking about the extruder here. I feel like that should just say like extruder. And then on this one, which is I think prep, maybe that's called respooler or respooler in stop or something that's a little more clear. It's the terminology that is throwing me off a little bit, but I think I'm correct in the way that I have it. If I'm not, let me know. Consider getting a big dehumidifier for the print room instead of getting more and more dry boxes. That's a great idea to do it. And then you just empty that thing every couple of days. It depends on where you live. If you live in a place that is very wet like that, then yeah, I think it makes sense to get a dehumidifier instead of a bunch of dry boxes. It's probably cheaper that way too. So one thing I did like is that the motors that came with this Sealy Lab kit has these removable stepper motor wires. This would have probably been easier to do had I did these before installing, but here we are. And that's where these tweezers come into play, just to make sure that's all the way seated. So we do it that way, and then I can run this kind of down under here, and then I have my stepper like so. What I don't know is if the wiring is in the correct order. So if things aren't moving the proper way when we get around to doing the firmware portion, we'll change that later. What do I expect when you live in a swamp? Yeah. Where do you live, Papa Way? Like what state? I don't want your home address or anything. Like I said, I'm in California. It's pretty dry out here. It stays roughly 20% humidity, which is pretty low year-round. But I do have a Morning Clown hammer. But I do have a filament dry box. It's a huge... I don't even know how to explain it. It's printer sized, but it is a sealed dry box for camera gear or guns or something like that. Northern Ohio, that makes sense. So it's this huge dry box, and that's where I keep my PETG and my TPU and my nylon. So I'll dry it out with a poly dryer or my iBoss Polyphemus, and then I'll throw it in there, and it keeps it dry without desiccant. It has a dehumidifier built into the machine. I got it from KB3D. They had a group buy, and I bought one, and then it arrived, I don't know, a few months later. All right, so I think we have number 4 all plugged in like it should be. I remember reading that it told me I could run some cable wiring. I'm sorry, some cable ties. I'm not really seeing on here where I would do that. Yeah, I don't see any tie down points just yet. I don't think that has anything to do with my parts. I think I have the right parts. Oh, and by the way, I heard that on these outer two, I should like cant them inwards a little bit and then leave the middle two straight. What are your thoughts in the chat here? I have an extra heat set in this number 4 lane that could turn that, but I didn't do it in the number 1, so I may need to add that heat set in there. But I can go ahead and do that on this side. That's a tip I heard from Digital Dragon the other day. I just happened to be watching his stream. Several holes in the trays for that. Yeah. I'm telling you, though, I don't see them in the tray that I printed. So unless a second time I printed the wrong trays, I don't have those zip tie points. Maybe it's because I printed the trays with the desiccant boxes in there. Yeah, so I'll show you here. I don't have those tie down points. These are the trays with the desiccant boxes, and maybe that's why. If I had printed the normal ones, maybe it would have been there. You angled all of yours, but not tested the improvement. Okay. I did angle this number 4 after the fact just now, and it's fine. I think it's a much smoother path to the hub. So I'll do that. I'll add a heat set on one really quick. The iron's hot. Okay, so we're just going to do number 3, and then we'll wire manage everything at the end. We're going to have a huge mess of stuff. I'm going to try to manage some of this first. It did come with some zip ties. I have more if I need them, but I'm going to just add a few to kind of control. Jerry probably live in the ideal climate for making. Yeah, so Jerry and I are not close to one another as far as like distance, but as far as climate, yeah, it's very much a Vegas climate out here as well. Very dry, very windy, and pretty mild winters. Like right now, I think our lows are, we had a couple days where it's like the upper 20s overnight, but during the day, I'm seeing, 60-degree temps. Today, actually, it's supposed to be 71, so it's going to be really nice. Low sync, thanks for coming in, buddy. We're getting through the first wiring on lane number 4 here. I'm going to go back and shorten this stepper motor wiring later. But I think for now, just try to manage it the best that I can. But I'm going to go back and cut, crimp, and redo that mess. That's a lot. And we'll just add new zip ties on it whenever that happens, if it needs to happen. All right. So doing number 3 in the manual here. Number 3 should be the 3rd longest spooler that I have, which is this guy here. And that's going to be, I feel like I just kind of want to temporarily put this extrusion back in because I don't want it falling all over the place. And so I'm going to put it in intentionally incorrect so that it'll hold itself there, and then I'll just like turn it around later. I think there should still be enough room to maneuver. All right, so that's what I did. That's just on there loose right now. We're going to add on number 3. Like this. Yeah, so it goes into the slot on the extrusion, and then it slots into the oh man, whatever that tray. Yeah, the tray. Then we add in some M3x8s into this, and that'll hold it where it needs to be. Let's see if we can turn that just a touch. So just going in here. And dropping it all over the place. I'll tell you what, for the sake of, yeah, that's a little better. You can see that now. For the sake of my sanity and trying to do that horizontally, we're just going to lay it down. You like the Box Turtle logo mod? Yeah. I need to do all the LEDs for that. I'm going to do that off stream and create that front logo, but it is primed to take it right here. I've got the lens printed out and the retainer to hold the LEDs in there. I just need to add it, do all the soldering. I learned how to solder LEDs last week. So it's something I had not done before. And it was kind of a pain, but we got there. All right, I'm just putting these in. I don't know how far they need to be able to trigger. I know that that's going to take some adjustment. And that's why there's a slotted thing here. I think when it's closed, it should just like barely trigger. So right there, I just heard it click. And then when it opens, it should release. So like that. I'll make sure this one's good to go. So just push it up until it clicks. We'll tighten it there. Just like that. And that way when this thing triggers, it'll click. I don't know if you can hear that. Just a little bit of a click when the trigger goes. That's pretty cool. I like that idea there. Then we have our wiring, and we need our extruder next. So we'll get the third longest one here. And this time I'm going to add on the motor cable before I install that. I'm going to hold on to those rubber bands. I may need those for wire management. Alright, so just adding in this motor cable here. I think if you get a LDO kit, these would already come with the motors, with the wiring that's internal, that's not removable. I kind of like these for the modularity of it. So if I did want to replace these cables because I made them too short or I wanted to modify them in some way, having the cable removable helps with that. If I cut them too short on an actual motor that has integrated cabling, it'd be a lot harder to go back and change anything if I wanted to. All right, and same as before, we're going to add in some M3x8s. This time I'm going to put it through the hole first. And then same on the other side. Put that screw in the hole. I'm going to start with this most back one here. And that seemed to work a lot better. You can hear the click. Proud of me. I'm certain you did a great job on the LEDs. We'll find out. As soon as I add power to this thing, all will be revealed. I'll be honest, I'm most nervous about that. I don't think I bridged anything, especially after making, I think, almost a dozen of those over the course of 2 days. But if I did, I don't know what happens. Hopefully it doesn't blow up. But if it does, then we just get to build a new box turtle. Right? All right, so going back to the manual, we're looking at lane 3 here. We did that portion, and I did that. You prefer removable wires as well? I think I do. I tend to swap motors out and change parts a lot, so if I have something that I can repair or replace a cable on, it's much better. All right, so just like before, we're going to run everything over to the board, and this is the wiring. I wish that was a little bit bigger, but it could be because I have my screen scaled down so that I can still see chat and everything else. Try to make this a touch bigger while still seeing you all. All right, so stepper on lane 3 goes here next to lane 4. That makes sense to me. The labeling on the board matches as well, so that's pretty straightforward. Power on with all the praying. Yeah, it's always that way anytime I build anything. Jeremy's out in the shed messing with the box turtle. He should be. He's been building that box turtle for months. He should be done with it by now. Maybe me streaming about it has applied the correct amount of pressure. And then our prep, let's see, goes above the one that we just put in. So here, I wonder why these are all offset by a 1. And then the motor, sorry, the load Or actually, yeah, motor. What is the load then? Where's my load wire? Oh, this guy. So much wiring in here right now. So then, I guess that's the downside of all of these. And then this load goes here. Let's move that back. Goes about here, right above that one. And now that one's all the way in. Sweet. It matches. And then we'll take the last one, and that goes above this one over here. So we'll go under, and we'll put that here. Like so. And then it said that we can wire manage a little more, so we're going to do a little bit of that. Classic motivation tool. Yeah, public humiliation, public pressure. So just going to gather all these together. Put a zip tie on there. Loosely, of course. You got to try what and fix what? 3D Wolf. Yeah, I think dealing with all this wire makes you want a LDO kit even more, or at least I do. This is a little bit crazy. They give you, so if you get this kit, you can expect all the wire lengths for the motors to be the same, which makes sense from their perspective, right? It's no dig at those guys, but you got to be aware that all of the wire management on this is going to be a pain because of the way that it is. It's already a little bit painful with 2 lanes in here. I can imagine when I do 4, like how much stuff is going to be tangled together. And nothing is tight, it's just kind of snug so I can move things. But I am going to clip the ends of these off because it's catching on literally everything. So we're going to clip these off real quick. Tighten that just a touch. Untangle that. Cool. Now it's much cleaner. Relatively, right? Still looks like a mess. We're going to put a bottom panel on this anyway, so I'm not super worried about tie down points and all of that. And I think I'm going to tuck all this wiring down below, and then we'll put PTFE tubes on top, and that should hold all that wiring up against the bottom. We still have LED wires to go in and everything else. So next up, we'll continue on. We'll do the number 2 here, and then we'll add that heat set in for number 3. Oh, sorry, number 1. That goes in. And sorry if I get my big head in your view there, but I gotta see what's going on. Sweet. And then we can lay this down. Much better. Starting to get in a rhythm now. All right, so this will go here. We'll plug this in straight away. I'm pretty sure that goes right there. It's labeled as motor number 2 on the board, so it makes sense to put number 2 there. Next up, second longest extruder, same as before. And a lot of this is just going to be repetitive, so I think once you do 2, it kind of goes a little quicker. So we'll do it like so, and then things are getting crowded. I can still see pretty good in there. I can just imagine after we put in LEDs and everything else. And then top 1. I really like the pattern on the bottom of this thing. As I'm looking at it, it's completely unnecessary from a standpoint of printing. I don't know if it saves plastic or not. I think it might, but it does give a nice texture to the bottom of the tray. Classes it up a little bit. So I do like that. Oh no, I just realized I didn't put any of those ECAS fittings into I didn't put any of the E-cast fittings into the bottom of these spoolers. I did it on this one. I didn't do it on these other ones. That sucks. And I did it on this one. So I did half of the spoolers with the E-cast fittings. What am I doing? I think that's going to be a pain to try to get that in there right now. But I don't really have an option. Because I remember having to put a lot of force on that to get it in there. Well, I guess we'll have to, let's see if we can use this. Guess we'll have to go take them out and redo it if I can't get them in. Yep, we're going to have to take those out. Dang, that sucks. That sucks. Demerit, yeah. Demerit, give me all of them. Just trying not to break things, but I don't know if I want to take everything out just to fix that. That's such a pain. All right, we'll do it the right way. I'm going to have to take these out. Smooth the end stop out of the way. Hey, but this is real life, right? Not everything is going to happen exactly as you want it to happen. And if you'll excuse me, I'm going to take this jacket off. It's getting warm in here. How's that mic? I think I'm still able to be heard, yes. I had to take the jacket off. It was getting pretty toasty. I turned the heater off a while ago, but it didn't matter. It's still got warm. So if I get cold again, whatever. So low sync, you gave me a demerit. How many did I begin with? Because if you were here earlier in the stream, I think I would have been negative 75 based on the amount of trouble just getting started. All right, so, man, we already put zip ties on that stuff. So we're going to have to get creative. I think there's enough slack to do what I want. So what I'm trying to do is not take this apart completely. I'm going to have to cut all those zip ties and do that. But I think if I just kind of position things appropriately, I can press this in here. Maybe. Yeah, I'm going to have to take that off. That sucks. I don't want to break any wiring. 682, you can have it. I deserve it after today. All right, we're going to unplug all of the things. So it should be just this motor. No drawing blood. Hey, I'm trying. I drew blood last week, and then this week I caught one right there. I burned myself here using the heat gun, trying to work on the S1 over there. Had to use the heat gun to get all the PLA off of the hot end. And after I did that, I put the heat gun down and didn't think that it might still be hot. And so I grabbed it and burned the shit out of myself. Okay, that's most of the way in there. Doesn't want to go all the way, and I don't understand. I see a piece of plastic in there. It's like mostly in there. You can see that it's still a small gap. I want to get that down flush, but I put a shit ton of force on it, and it's still not wanting to go where it should go. And again, I'm trying not to break things. I'm known to do that. There we go. That's the snap we needed. Now, let's get that guy back in there and do the other one. All right, so back through. So Jeremy, I hear you're still building your box turtle now that you're watching. You're learning all the things not to do. Cool, so we get that one back in. I'm gonna re-secure that where it should be, and then we'll work on the next guy here. That autofocus works great. It does. The Ozbot's pretty cool, man. Like, you heard 250 and you're like, oh my god, it's so much money, and it's not cheap. But if you look at like what a C920 would cost you, or a C922, something like that, it is roughly $100. And if you're going to get 2 of those and only have mediocre quality, probably not worth it. I would just save another month or whatever and get yourself a good Ozbot. So this one's fine. I saw that the Logitech 2C was okay. There was a bunch of comparisons. I probably watched, I don't know, 20 hours of YouTube trying to compare and contrast. Trying to compare and contrast the two to make sure that I was getting the right one, because that's really what was in my mind, was between the Logitech, yeah, not Logitech, sorry, what am I saying? Insta360 Link 2C or this one. And for me, I just bit the bullet. They're so similar in what they're able to do that I think you'd be fine going with either one. They're both 4K. The specs are about the same. The what's it called? The lens is roughly the same. There's just so many similarities between them that I think you'd be fine getting either or. They are even, I think the Insta is probably $200, so it's probably $50 cheaper. So if that's your jam, go for it. I don't know, something just made me go with the Ozbot based on, I guess, recommendations and the videos I watched. 2 cameras. Yeah, but so here's the thing. I think your Brio is fine for your face cam. I think that's what you're using, right? A Brio for your face cam. I think that one's fine. And then you just get the one for your overhead, and you'll be fine. Yeah, you don't need to make it perfect on the way out. I was using webcams that I have. So, like, I didn't even have a new camera. Like, when I first started a month ago, month and a half, whatever it is, I had no cameras. I was using webcams that I was using for my 3D print monitoring. So I had one set up to look at 3 printers, and then I had another one set up to look at another 3 printers. And I just repurposed those to use for streaming. But when I had a chance to get something else, I did. And it seems to work. So I got that. I got the camera arm, and that's how you're able to get the angle that you have right now. It was really bothering me to not have the quality that I wanted, but I knew that I needed to fix audio first, so I got the mic first, and I got that about a month ago, and that's how you're able to hear what I'm saying today. And then I knew pretty quickly that I would need a camera. So I saved over the last month to be able to get a camera, and here we are. And I like it so far. This is the first time I'm using it. So if you like it, make sure you like the like button. All right, just re-zip tying here, and we'll take off extruder number 2 and put all that back to where it should be. Just unplugging this. Hey, Projects and Dad's Garage, how are you? I don't think you've been on this stream before, so thanks for stopping by. If you have, I missed you, so I apologize. All right, we're going to add in that kind of there. I'm going to add that ECAS fitting in there. I was kind of thinking to myself earlier too. I was like, man, there's so many extra fittings. It didn't occur to me that I had not finished the building of this portion. So again, adding some force. And that is really tight. There we go. It's the click I wanted. And you can see sits flush. That's what we're looking for. And the other one's done, so we'll move forward. Just like before, feeding things through. The front goes in the extrusion, and then the back kind of slides in place there. And then we hold it with 2 and 3x8s, just like we've been doing all along. More box turtles. That's right, Mr. WizX23. Good afternoon. Thanks for coming by the stream. Yeah, more box turtles. I think I said this a couple of streams ago, but you're going to see a lot of these. Kits are shipping. People are starting to get these. This is not a kit. This is a self-source build, so mine looks a lot different than what you're going to see. All of my wiring is handmade, except for the motor wiring. I had to cut, crimp, and solder all of this stuff. So my build is going to be a little different than what you might see if you were actually building from a kit. I picked up a hardware kit only. It came with the extrusions and all the screws and stuff that you would need. Yeah, thanks, Miss Lee Marie, for posting in the Discord. Thanks for helping out getting this out there. Use all the help I can get. So we'll do that, and then if I'm going back to my manual here, we did number 3. We're on number 2 now. And Mr. WizX, if you're new here, make sure you like and subscribe, man. It helps out the channel. So just the way that you found us today, it'll help other people find us next time. Image shows the port to install the hub plug-in to match the AFC Clipper add-on. Okay, so I guess hub is next, not number 2. That's good because we have the hub installed. So we did that way earlier on part 1, and I did not add the the JST on the end of this, so we're gonna have to do that really quick. So put those together. We get the crimpers out. I like this kind. I've seen other kinds. I like the Knipex one. I just don't want to pay for the Knipex one. These are, I got these in Japan when I lived in Japan, from a store that's kind of like, I guess it's kind of like a Home Depot, but they call it Make Man. And it's cool because they have a mascot, and it's like a monkey carpenter looking dude, because everything has a mascot in Japan. And yeah, I got these there. They've been well used. I've used these for the last, I don't know, 5-6 years, and they've built every printer that I have. Hey, thank you, sir. I appreciate the like and the subscribe. All right, I don't remember how the hub is supposed to be. I can see that on the manual that the wires go to the 2 JST pins. Doesn't matter which order. I don't want to get them backwards, but I don't remember how it was wired anyway. So I think we just go for it, and if I need to switch it later, we could switch it later. What I do need, though, is some crimp stuff. Let's see. So one of these little boxes has lasted me, I don't know, through 6-7 builds, because every time you buy a board, a motherboard, to put in a printer, it comes with its own set of these now, and it comes with another set of whatever you want to call the metal piece crimp parts. These. It comes with a set of those on every board, and then it comes with its own set of these. So you end up with a lot. And I bought this one time and just keep refilling it. I like to break off all the little parts too, so that they're free. They come off already, and I can just pull them out of there with some tweezers and get going without having to break it off and poke myself. I'll try to get a close-up on how I do these. I'm not saying it's the way, I'm saying it's a way. But typically I'll put that there, And then I'll just make sure that the end of it is closed a little more. So I'll just do it like so, make sure it's closed a little bit, and then I'll just place it in the largest portion. So the 1.9 on there like that. And then I'll crimp the actual insulation of the wire first. So wire goes all the way in. We crimp with some pressure just till it closes. Not a lot. It's going to take some practice to get there, but I get it that way. And so you end up with just on the insulation, and then I go down to the 1.6 here, and I'll do that around the wire itself. And again, just some pressure till things close around, and when you end up with a crimp that is pretty good. And you can tug on it, make sure it doesn't come off, and we're good there. And then you repeat that for however many wires you need. In this build, there were, man, I don't even know how many times I've crimped things. At least 100 already. Luckily, I didn't have to do motor wires. Those, for whatever reason, are really crappy to try and crimp. Small wires are tough, especially when you have bigger hands. And in this build, those wires are not silicone. They're like PTFE wires, so they're very slick. So very slick, very small, which makes it difficult to do. Done and done. Lots. Yeah, lots of crimps. All right. Looking at the manual, I know that I need a 3-prong, so I got one of those here. And then it goes on the 2 outside pieces. So just make sure that we do that properly. I'm going to use tweezers to make sure that's in there. And we'll do this one as well. So it's the center one and the outside pin on this smooth side, from what I can tell. So I like to grab it right near where that metal prong is and push it in there. And then again, I'll pull on this just a little bit to make sure it doesn't come out. And then we're good to go. Okay, and going back to our manual here. You can see that it's at that very top portion, the green box, which is all of the end stops. So as we're doing end stops for the individual lanes, they're all in this vertical column here. And then your motors for your extruders are in the column to the left. And then the far left, that's where we're putting our end stops for the extruders. Moving on, number 2. Okay, we'll do it just like we've been doing before. Same 2 screws. Put the end stop on there, and then we'll put in the extruder. We'll run all the wires over and plug them in as such. So second prep down and second load down, and I think I got that in the brain. So we'll come back over. Got the extruder in already because we got ahead of ourselves. So right now it's just plugging things in. So from here we have the load. Make sure that things match. We'll put this here, second one down. And then we have, oh, we have to do the end stop. That's right. End stop. Put this over here for a second. Stay. All right, end stop, M3x8, M3 washer. And then these go through the hole. Just like before, we're going to install this so it just barely clicks against the trigger. So I'm just going to screw that in a little bit till we get some tension. That way it doesn't slide all over the place. I'm going to line up that end stop on the trigger arm. I'm going to press it till it clicks. Right there. And that's where I'm going to tighten it down. Right there. and we're going to make sure that the trigger lets it go. And it does. So I'm going to adjust this just a touch. I got it off a little bit. Save me some headache. Lane something. 1 second. I can't see your chat here. Adjust some things around the stream. Hub needs pins 1 and 2, not 1 and 3. Had to double check your box turtle to be sure. All triggers are 1 and 2. I understand what you're saying, but I'm looking at the, here, let's show you the manual. Looking at the manual right now, these pins look like, this is how my pins are, set up the same way as what we're seeing in the manual. I have a feeling I'm going to have to come back anyway and swap some things around, just because I know how I am, and this wiring is a lot, and I need to probably shorten some of it, especially on the motors. And so if I do that, I'm going to have to unplug things and change things. No sound. No sound? You got me now? You're saying you have no sound? I'm seeing sound. You got me concerned now. How do we not have sound? 2 and 3, no. First 2, not outer sets. Yeah, I'm getting, okay, we have sound. I think we have sound. Lego Therapy, I think maybe you don't have sound. Cool. So I'm seeing in the chat, we're talking first 2, not outer sets, and then we're seeing 2 and 3. Sound fine here, sound is fine. Yeah. I don't understand what you mean by pins 1 and 2, not 1 and 3. Are you talking about on the end stop itself? If you're talking about on the end stop itself, I don't know that it's correct because, yeah, thanks for the sound check, low sync. Going through the manual, it has you solder the 2 outside pins. If you're saying that I need to solder number 1 pin and number 2 pin on the end stop itself, that would be against what the manual is saying. At plug into AFC light board. Yeah, again, here, we'll take you back. If I look at that manual, it's showing me the middle pin and the pin to the right. And that's where I have things at. In stop is always outer 2 pins. Yep, got that. What you're saying, though, is on the board itself, which we're looking at right now, you can reverse open or close in software. Yeah, so I'm thinking I can fix it in software. I'm not worried about that. I'm not going to redo it. I just want to make the point that what I'm seeing on the manual is middle pin and the pin to the right. And if I go back to the close-up over here, and I'm looking at the build itself, that's how I've got my stuff wired. This will focus here. It's so white, it's hard to tell. But they are wired to the middle and the outside. So if everything is inverted, Boothie is correct. I can just invert stuff in the firmware after the fact. So I'm not particularly worried about it. If it is going to cause a problem where it doesn't function, then I would change it. But I don't think that's the case right now. Okay, good. Gotcha, Mr. Wicks. All good, man. I just want to make sure that we address that and I didn't just ignore you. Yeah, it's an angle. It's the best one that I'm able to do while you can still see things without me totally getting in your way and blocking. I could put something up here above my head here and kind of have a top-down view, but I think that's also not so great. So we're changing it up. Changing it up. All right, putting in the last extruder. I'm going to remove the extrusion again because we're almost done. And I think after I put this in here, I'm going to have the space I need. Also, I think once we get all these in, we'll go ahead and call the stream for the day. We've been streaming about 3 hours-ish. I don't want to encroach on too much of your time on a Sunday morning. There's a better wiring diagram on the Isaac site. You have it pinned on. Yeah, I could do that. Let's see if I can pull that up really quick. So if I go over to the Isaac site, and we go to Box Turtle. Hey, it's all good, Armored 3D. I saw some of your streams as well. You've been very helpful in kind of prepping me for this. Still made a few mistakes, but that's okay. We were able to easily fix those. So thanks for coming in, David. I appreciate you. Yeah, so Boothie, I think you want me to go to this project. And if you guys haven't seen Armored 3D printing in his Box Turtle build, you should definitely go watch his stuff too. He's a lot better at explaining things than I think I am. I've watched his stuff in prep for today and our last few streams as well. So trying to minimize the number of errors that I make, and he's very good at that. So I think if you're going to build this at all, I would push you towards doing as much research as you can before you start, because you're still going to kind of mess things up. It's just the nature of the beast. Boothie, I'm looking for the link that you talked about. Yep, Steve Builds is doing his today. I think he probably has like 1 or 2 more to go, but I think he's already on the firmware side. I'm probably a week behind Steve. I think the draw for Steve is that he also is giving away a Box Turtle every time he streams. So if you're in to win your own Box Turtle for free, an LDO kit, go watch Steve here in about 30 minutes. I'm trying to win a Box Turtle kit as well. So manual at the bottom. This guy. Thanks. So we'll go for another half an hour or so, and then I'm going to turn you all loose, push you over to Steve's channel so that you can hopefully win your own Box Turtle. Yep, this is the board. These are the pinouts. That's how you set it up. We'll get to all that later, probably next week. I want to save... I want to save the firmware side for a stream, simply because I want to be able to share that with you all and go through that together. Yeah, this isn't helpful. Boothie, I'll come back to it later. Thanks for driving me over here. I think I just want to go with, oh, the pinout. Yeah, tracking. I saw the pinout. It's fine. If I need it later, we'll get to it. I just want to get through the assembly on this one. And then if I need to backtrack at all, that's not a big deal. I can do that a lot quicker off stream when I'm not switching screens and trying to talk through everything. All right, so more of the same here. We've done this 3 times already. And then just to make sure, we'll pin at, we'll do the load at the top left, and then the prep just under the hub there. Motor makes sense, and then stepper over here makes sense. Sweet. Going back to our close-up. I did not do the motor wiring on lane 2, so we'll do that really quick. I think we got distracted doing, I don't know, sound checks and whatever. So we'll just add this on really quickly. Just did an update stream on your Box Turtle, might help. I appreciate that. I will definitely go by and watch it before we start next week. I only do Sundays, typically about 3 hours. I try to get done before Steve starts, because I like watching Steve too. He's great. So while he's going, that's when I'm working on on this, or I'm printing parts, or I'm getting ready for next week at all. I usually don't have a lot of time during the week to do this stuff, but on Sundays I do. So I'll stream for a couple hours and then start to build other things while watching Steve. And then I want you guys to win. I want you to win a box turtle. And you can't do that if you're stuck here with me. Steve is awesome. I got to meet Steve quite a few times now. He's a down-to-earth guy, like normal human. So I know he's going to Remurf. And if you guys are going, go say hi to Steve. Steve is super approachable. A lot of people are calling him the Bob Ross of 3D printing. I tend to agree with that. Very calm in his demeanor. You like the camera angle, sound, and clarity is great. Thanks, dude. I appreciate it. It's a new camera. We were talking about this earlier. New camera. Audio is the same audio from last time. I just need to learn how to use audio better. There's a lot that goes into making this stream happen every week. And I'm not the smartest on all those things. I fly airplanes for a living, so doing audio quality and setting up stream stuff is not what I was trained to do. Definitely met Steve at Earth. Super nice, down to earth. Yeah, so I got to meet Steve at Rocky Mountain last year, and then Vice this year, and then probably see him again at Rocky Mountain here in May. Who else is going to Rocky Mountain? Armor 3D, are you going to Rocky Mountain? What am I using for a camera and mic? I am using, for this main camera, the one that you're watching the desk on, this is an Osbot Tiny 2. This is the first time we're using it on this stream. I just got it on Thursday. And then for a mic, I'm using a, what is this, a Hollyland just lapel mic. So it's one microphone. It's pretty affordable. I think it's like $40. The camera is the more expensive part. It's $250 for the camera. I got it on sale. I think right now it's $299. It went up again. So hopefully you get it or something like it. There's a few options out there. Whatever your budget allows is what you should do. But this is a 4K camera, and I think if you did anything that's 4K, you'd be fine. That's just the one that I chose because it seemed to be the most recommended from what I could tell on YouTube. So I'm just doing research on it. It seemed that people wanted this one more than anything else. Give the most accurate picture quality and color. So whatever you want. Oh, there's a zip tie there that I could have been using the whole time. I'm going to do that on this one, and I'll go back and do it on the others. I did not realize that was there. You get the Tiny 2 light, and it's great. Yeah, I was looking at the light. If I wanted to save, what's the light, like $150 or something? If I wanted to save $90 to $100, Tiny 2 light would have been great. I just went for the big boy. I'll tell you, when I spend money on anything, I do a lot of research on that topic or that item, and I try to pick the thing that is going to give me the best value. I hate buying things twice. I hate wasting money on things that are just crap. And so I will splurge a little bit for something that I think is a better quality. And so if that means it's more expensive, I'd rather buy it once than buy it twice, for what it's worth. Been burned a few times on some things, and that's just what I adopted a while ago. 150, yeah. I'd say, man, like I'd save another month and spend the extra $100 and just get the Tiny 2 full. It comes with the webcam base that you can use as a webcam if that's what you wanted to use it for. But it also has the 1/4-20 mount, which is what I'm using to get the shot right now. All right, so that is secured. I didn't do that on any of the other ones. I didn't realize it was a thing. But yeah. All right, Lego Therapy, thanks for stopping by. As always, man, I appreciate you. And I just broke that zip tie. Have fun. Enjoy your Sunday. We'll talk later. Ooh, see, that's the problem. Like, all of that wiring is right where I don't want it to be because I need to put the extruder there. So the extruder needs to go literally right here. That's where all that wiring is. And now I have to kind of figure out a way to do all of that while still plugging things in. So we may have to cut zip ties again and reroute wiring, but that's okay. We'll get it. And I did want to do a heat sort in there so that I can angle this guy. So I'm going to do that as well while the iron is hot. I do have a small pack of, here we go, small pack of heat sets, and the iron is right down here. There we go. Let's put that up there. Yep, that's hot. All right, let's see how we can do this. Probably should have put that down in the hole first, and then we'll burn it in. So I'm going to restart with one that's not hot. I already got burned 6 times yesterday. I'm not trying to get burned again. I literally burnt the whole side of my palm over here, and that really sucked. So I'm not trying to get burned. Just drop that in the hole. We'll press that in. So satisfying. Sweet. That's good. Usually I miss more than one heat insert. So only missing one this time is not a bad deal. All right, so just like all the other ones, we're going to add in the, that's cool now, we'll move that. Add in the spooler. Front end first, snap in the back, just like so. And it kind of friction fits itself in there. We did not forget the ECAS fitting on here. And then we add in 2 more M3x8s. Clown Hammer, you're going. I know we talked about you going to Rocky Mountain. Sorry, I missed your comment there. I will see you there. All right, so that's that. Anybody else going to Rocky Mountain other than Clown Hammer and me? Armor 3D, are you going? Is that what you meant when you said you wish? That you wish you were going? Cool. So that's installed. Put in the, what is this, the end stop. Washer, pin, and stop. All right, this is where I'm going to move this board again. Just get that out of the way. Yeah. Oh, you don't think you'll make it? Why not? Is it just too far for you? Someone wants to bring you? Where are you at? Massachusetts. Yeah, sorry, man. That's the wrong direction for me. If you were near LA, I'd hook you up. Just making sure that triggers when I install. And then triggers when it goes out. All right, I think we need to move it back just a touch. Doesn't seem to be triggering all the way. What's in Massachusetts, though? That seems, I think you're the only person I've heard that's like from Massachusetts. Okay, that seems to be triggering like it should now. May still have to adjust it later, but we'll see. I think it's okay. We're definitely going to have to cut some of these zip ties off of here. I don't know how else to get that extruder in there appropriately without just having wires all over. He said literally nothing. Yeah, I know you're joking about that, but literally nothing is where I'm at as well. We were talking earlier, being out in the middle of the desert, so there's not a lot around me. It's 45 minutes to the nearest town that has things and stuff. So when the wife and I did Valentine's celebration on Friday, we had to drive a while to get out there. So anytime we do, we tend to make it a day. Spend 45 minutes going to a place, then 4 to 6 hours just hanging out and doing whatever. Got to make it worth your time. You're not, though. I'll be honest, I've never been to Massachusetts. I have no idea what is there. I think the closest I've been to that area is, oh man, probably New Jersey. And I'll tell you, there was not much out in New Jersey either. That's going to be a pain. But we got to get all that in there somehow. All right. I think we should just plug things in while I have access. So this one goes here. This one goes here. And then this last one for the motor, tiny motor, goes over here. All right, there's that mess. So we're going to have to loosen up some of this to be able to get access to where I need it to go. Because I don't think I can neatly, like it'll fit in there, but that is not something that looks good at all. So we're going to have to spend some time cable managing this off stream. So like I said, we'll finish up here in probably 10 minutes or so, and I'll cable manage some of this as I try to win a box turtle on Steve's stream. And then maybe I'll go watch some of Armored Turtle stuff as well. Yeah, so like I can kind of move some stuff around and get some access, but it's a huge mess. Wish there was a wiring kit for this. And maybe I'll get one of those LDO kits someday if I don't win one. Good for you. Started a 3D printing business. What do you do for a business? What is your thing? Are you like you print parts, or what is the business? And how can we support you? I'm always interested in what people do for their business to make 3D printing make sense for them. So if you don't mind sharing, I'd love to know. For me, I like building. And because I'm out here all the time anyway, I feel like I should just start streaming it. And so here we are. You repair and build printers. So do I. But I'll add an extra step in there. I repair, break, and build printers. Because I don't know how to leave well enough alone a lot of times. Oh, Armored Turtle, since you're here, we were talking about this earlier. Where could someone find a 250 V2? If I wanted a Voron 2.4 today, where would you send me to get a 250 kit, if you know? On the shelf over there, I have two 300s. One has a 30-30 frame, courtesy of my buddy Boothie, who I think is still in the chat. He made a project where you can convert a Hypercube into a V2. And so I did that. And then I have an LDO kit, V2.4, and then I have a 350 Seabore Trident all-wheel drive to my left, just out of frame here. And that's what this box turtle is going to go on. That kit is a black and white theme, which is why this thing is black and white. So I'm going to throw this over there. But if you know where I can get a 250 kit, I think I want something a little bit smaller without having, I don't know, a bunch of space. There are literally the two V2s that I talked about. There's a Zerabo, which is kind of a V2, but it is not enclosed. That's also a 300. There's a couple 200s over there. There's a switch wire. There's another ProForge 3 that is a 300. And all of those are Jerry T3D. West 3D has 250 frames. Thanks. I didn't know that. I don't know that I looked very closely at their site the other day. I was literally on there yesterday. The wife gave me permission to get what I wanted. And so I thought about doing another 250 Voron. I like my 300s. They're not too big. I think it's the right size if you're building new today. But I have so many, I just kind of want something a little bit smaller. Your Armor 3D printing, not Rob Arnold. Yeah, I know. If that's what I said, I apologize. That's not what I meant. Let's see. You would get a 2.4 from Fabrico or West 3D. You have a code for 5% off? Armor 3D print. I'm going to use your code, and we'll see if I can get a 250 frame or a kit. I would rather it be a kit. That way I have everything I need. I don't want to self-source individual products. I'd rather just have everything come in one. Although I do have black or silver frames on West 3D. Did I really call you Armor Turtle? I'm sorry, man. I got Box Turtle on the brain. And because yours is Armor 3D at the same time, I think it got me bamboozled. Cool. All right, we're almost done with this one. We'll finish out this portion of the thing here, and then we'll move on. Let's see what this is. Connections for the buffer to match the AFC. The wires for the buffer may be passed through the lower hole in the right rear skirt, if not opting to connect them to the printer's main board. I don't know how I'm going to do that. I think it depends on where I mount the buffer. If I mount it to the printer, I think it makes sense to mount it to the main board. But if I mount it to the Box Turtle, because there are slots on here, I think that I might do that. I might mount it to the Box Turtle, wire it to the Box Turtle. That way, when I move this later, things just kind of come apart as one big unit. So we'll come back to that. RGB, let's see, shown as a connection to be made for the indicator lights to match the default 80mm jumper plug into the board at this time. Okay, I don't know that my kit came with a jumper plug, my AFC light. And I don't know where that would go. I'd have to find that. And then I reinstall the extrusions and put on my PTFE, 2 different internal diameters. What? 3mm must be used for the spooler to the extruder. Okay, that makes sense because you want some slop in there for things to move, and then use 2mm bowden post extruder. I'm glad they pointed that out. I would not have done that. I would have used the same tube all the way through. If not done during extruder installation, insert a 3mm bowden tube into the fitting and gently bend and insert into the extruders. I wish I would have done that first. Because now it'll be a little more difficult. But I think we'll just measure it out. We'll cut them all the same and drop them in there. It's not too bad. For the 2mm, it is highly advised that the ends be beveled. Okay, no problem. Install them as shown. Okay, I do have a deburring tool that I use to do this, and so I'll just do that. Hey, Armor 3D, thanks for stopping by. We're going to check out of here in about 3 minutes. I just want to get through this so we have an idea of what to do next, and then we will press on. But thanks for hanging out today. We'll be here next week, 07:15 on the Pacific time. For you, 10:15. Cool. So we'll do that. We'll mount it to the box turtle. We'll do all this. Yeah, okay. I've already done that. It's just having us put the spools in the back. And then we'll move on. So we'll go back to here. This is the build up to now. That's what we're looking at. And then I do have my spool rollers over here in the parts box. So we'll just do this. I'll do all the Bowden tube stuff offline. Again, I want to be respectful of everybody's time, and I only really like to go for 3 hours. I don't really like to do more than that. But yeah, these kind of go on here, and I like that those fit on and they're snug, so they're not coming off. And then they just kind of drop in to where they should be. I might reprint these in black. That way I have alternating. So I have a black one here, white one here, black one here. I might do that just to keep with the mix match theme. But yeah, I did all of this off stream, screwed these together. They work perfectly. That's a really clever idea to have them thread into one another. But that's where we are today, folks. Like I said, off stream, I'm going to clean up some of the wiring. I'm going to go in and do the Bowden tubing from the extruders to the spoolers and then to the hub. I'll do that off stream today, and hopefully we'll get some things going. But we're going to wrap it up there today, guys. That's about all I'm going to do. I don't want to go too much longer, just to be respectful of everybody's time. But thanks for hanging out today. That's a 3-hour stream on the box turtle build. We got through about a chapter and a half on that. Next week, we'll do same time, 07:15 Pacific. That'll be 10:15 for you Eastern folks. Same thing, we're going to continue on with the box turtle build. So thanks for hanging out. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for liking and subscribing and sharing the stream around with all of your friends and whoever else, wherever you posted it. Thank you for doing that. It just helps us out, get more people here to see how you would do this without a kit. So thanks, guys. I appreciate you, and we'll see you next week.